Okay, so lessons. Today we're going to be looking at DOM manipulation. Very important. And when you do DOM manipulation, that is when you can actually your Vicky, how are you? Welcome.
I didn't know that there's class on Tuesday.
Okay. Today is Wednesday, but
So now the classes now.
you
Huh?
say today is Wednesday now.
Today is Wednesday. Wow.
Mhm, mhm.
I thought it's Tuesday. I'm sorry.
Christmas is reaching. Like everywhere is
Okay.
like to even know the right dates now is problem. Like everything is packing. Everything is packing
I thought
together.
today
Like
was Tuesday.
to even make out time for anything now is an issue. Like seriously, like everywhere is jam packed.
It is difficult, my dear.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, are you still in your village?
No. I'm in Lagos.
Hmm?
I'm in Lagos now.
Okay, Lagos.
Yeah. Well, I'll be going to Abuja next week.
Okay. How long are you staying in Lagos?
Just 2 days.
Next week.
Yeah, just meet up for a
Okay.
project update. Then I'll be in.
Mm. Okay, but people are not joining the class. Are you
Yeah,
sure to
they
go?
said they are some people say they are on traffic and all that. I don't know. And what I want to teach
There
today
was
is
class on
important.
Monday.
Yeah, was it Monday?
I didn't even know.
Okay.
Is it when
Is it the one
was
I
it
shared the
Sunday or
video? There's one
what
I
day
shared the
was
video on the
fifth?
WhatsApp, no?
No, yeah. What day was it?
Um, can't even remember. I'll have to go and check that. Because
Okay.
last week we didn't have a class because I was very busy on some.
Okay. All right.
So were you able to rewatch some of the videos?
My dear, I've not been able. My
Hmm.
time is
You've been very busy, but
yeah. Yeah. This period is very busy for me. But I'm getting everything just for me to sit down and practice.
yeah, that's what you need.
That's
Programming
I know.
you need a lot of what's it called? Um, After the first learning, you have to now keep.
Fine.
Yeah, you now need time for it to
Mm,
condense into your head. Like you need to keep watching the videos and
yeah.
looking at it. Then that's when it now condenses into your head. So that's how
I'll
it
do my
works. Yeah.
best.
So now, if you have it as a class now, and you do another boot camp after this one, the more you do, the more you get into you. That's actually how it works. It doesn't just sink in at the
Yeah,
first. Yeah,
that's true.
yeah. So like me, I've been doing it over the years. Like as the year goes on, went by, and I got to like get more
I,
comfortable.
okay.
I wish you finish this one. Then there's a lighter one.
This
There's a lighter one I wanted to teach you. They call it UI UX,
Yeah,
UI
I really
UX.
want to get. I want to get to that Python. We've not gotten to
Yeah, yeah,
Python
yeah.
yet.
After this one now, get to that should be the next one.
I
These
really
ones,
need that one.
yeah, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, they are just basic for web. Then you can now um, decide on the one you want
So
to.
without these ones, you cannot understand Python.
You can actually, you can, but it will not be as easy as you would have wanted it to be. It's easier when you already
Okay.
know these ones, because these ones are like
Okay.
they are like the intro, they are like the gateway. If you know JavaScript,
Mm,
then Python is actually easier than JavaScript.
okay.
Only that,
That was actually what caught my interest.
yeah, no, I know. Only that JavaScript is something that you cannot do without. You understand? Just like
Okay.
HTML and
Mm,
CSS. So those three you must always work with them. And that is why it's good you learn them. Because now if you run into Python and all of a sudden they're telling you things about HTML and CSS which are must that you must come across them, then it becomes a problem then. You understand?
okay.
So that's why we normally start with them. So it would have been just HTML and CSS, then Python. But then JavaScript is so important because even if you're doing Python, you have to do something on the web at some point. So you need the knowledge of JavaScript for that. So having JavaScript added to your
Okay.
HTML and CSS now introduces you to a programming environment so that when Python starts coming, it seems very simple. So now, after learning
Simple.
this, now,
Okay.
yeah, Python is going to be really, really easy for you. Maybe within 2 weeks, you can easily run down Python because you already have the knowledge. You
Okay.
already know what variables are because you're also going to be meeting variables there. The if-else statements that we looked at, the math functions, all those things. It will be as if you are repeating this JavaScript that you've done when you start Python because both of them are in the same level of scripting language and programming language. So they follow the same pattern. We will start by explaining what comments are. When we started the JavaScript, we say that comments, we have single line and multiple line comments, Abi?
Mm,
Good. So those are the things you also start with in Python. Then after that, you talk about variables and data types. The same way we did it here, that's also what we do in Python. So when you finish
okay.
that, you go to conditional statement, the loops, the for loop, the if else statement. Those are the same thing you're going to do here too. So you're going to
Okay.
find out that what you are going to be doing in Python is actually what you've done in JavaScript. It's only that the syntaxes are not going to be different. So it's not going to be the
Okay.
same syntax anymore, but it's the same
Okay.
knowledge. So the knowledge of JavaScript and Python, they can easily be switched. So by then you
Okay.
must have become a programmer and you can actually understand what is happening. You
Okay.
understand?
Mm,
Okay. So that is what we are looking at.
yeah. Okay. Have you heard from the Alabama people?
Yes, we are actually online now. So our discussion, everybody is hearing.
Really? Okay, it's fine.
Oh. So Alabama is a personal discussion. We'll continue that later. Abby?
Yes, sure. When I didn't see anybody on the class, like no one joining on this Google Meet,
Okay.
I thought it's
No.
only both of us that's there.
No, it's also been live streamed. As the people are joining the Google Meet, other people are also like is as I'm talking to us, we are recording now. It's being live streamed on YouTube and Facebook.
So I can actually join on YouTube and it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but you cannot be asking me a question. That's just the difference.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay.
So the only people that can ask question now are people that are on the meet. Because on the meet you can ask one-on-one question. But if you're joining on the other,
Okay.
if you ask question, maybe you drop it in the comment section. I will have to now check the
Okay.
comment on another time for me to answer. See the
Okay.
difference. Uh-huh. So
Okay, that's okay.
so even if you don't see people in the class on this thing, know that somebody is watching and it's
Yeah,
open. Yeah.
I always forget.
Uh-huh.
It's okay. Thank you.
Because you normally do a lot of personal discussions whenever you're on.
Once I don't see anyone on this
Yeah,
thing, I will assume that I
yeah,
don't
it's
know
just
that
me
you
and you.
post it on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I understand. I understand. I totally understand. Okay. Some people told me they're in traffic and that they will be joining, so I want us to give them just a little time
All
before we
right, no
start.
problem.
Okay. Okay. I think since we are recording, I can just record then when they join, they will start. Okay. So today we're going to be trying to manage the HTML site that we built so far using the JavaScript. The HTML represents the structure of the website. Okay, I think I'm not sharing my screen now. Let me share so that you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Share window. Okay. Can you see my VS Code now? Okay, it will take a while to come.
Yes. Yeah, it's up now.
Is it up now? Okay. So we are going to try to manage the HTML that we've done using the VS Code. Now, if you look at this is our index.html. I hope you have this already, Vicky.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you look through, you're going to see where they have section class equal to container. And you're also going to see where they wrote form ID equal to my form. And you see div class message. So whenever you have class and you now have equal to something or ID, these are handles that you can use to work on these sections of the website, whether with the CSS or with the JavaScript. So if you want to work on, say, anything that is inside this container, this section, this is a container and it's comprising of everything inside here, uh, including the form, whereas all these other elements are under the form. So we want to find a way we can use in manipulating everything that is inside this container and everything that is inside this form. And this we actually did when we used this style, because in style we reference to the what you want to work on, the selector. So this is the container selector, and we gave them these properties and these values. We gave the container these properties and these values.
Okay.
Then we did the same for the my form. We gave it these properties and this value. So you can see that we are working. If you want to work on the form, you have to make reference to it, and you use this sign whenever you're calling something that has it is an ID. The selector is an ID. But if it is a class, you have to use dot, the class name, dot container hash my form. Hash my form because my form is an ID selector. Dot container because container is a class selector. Okay, when you get back to the index, you're gonna see that this is a class container, this is ID my form. So what is actually happening is that in the CSS, references are made to this container and this my form. And that is what we are going to be doing in the JavaScript. So let's make reference to the my form first. So to do that, we'll create a variable and call it my form. So that is the name of the reference we are making now. Then we'll say, now how this my form from the HTML that is on the other side. We do that by simply saying the HTML document that I just showed you, and we are saying dot query. We are using a function known as query selector. So that's what we are going to use to do that. So what are we referencing? We are actually referencing the it's an ID, so we have to use a hashtag. Then we'll quote the name that is there, which is my form. Okay, so that is how we get it. So if you get back to the HTML again now, you can see that the name here is my form. So because it's an ID, that's why we put that hash sign.
Network.
Are you back?
Okay, I couldn't hear you.
Okay,
Just breaking.
the network went out. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the HTML, this is the document, the HTML document. So in this JavaScript, what we did was that we said document.query selector. We want to select the my form. So that's how you can get something that is in the HTML. You can get it into the JavaScript. So once you say my form, put in this hash showing that it's an ID, then you're using the query selector function to get it from that HTML document and now assign that value to the variable my form. Okay. So now let's say we want to select an input. We'll go back again. This is the HTML. We want to select this input. You can see this is an input type. It has an ID of name. So how do we get this input name so that we can manipulate it in our JavaScript? So how we do that, we simply say const again, just the same way you did the first one, name input. But make sure that the second word is always in capital letter. So it's equal to document the same way dot query selector is a very popular function that you can always use to get the elements of a form. Vicky, somebody is singing at your back. It's a chorister.
TV, television.
Okay, so this is how I'm gonna be getting the name input there. Okay, so the next thing to get there will be the email. So why are we getting all these things? Because we want to manipulate them. Once you put your name and email, we want to use them for something. So I'm gonna you can see
Okay.
ID of email again. So I'll get back to this and I'll try to get it too. So I say const, this time around is gonna be email input. Okay, so I'm gonna equate it to document dot query selector, and since it's an ID as well, I'm still gonna use the hash sign and I'll call the email. Okay, so the next thing I want to get is the message. You can see this message here, but it's a class. Message is a class. So
Okay.
if it is a class, how do I get it in? It shouldn't be with hashes again. It has to be with dots because dot is for classes. So I'm gonna still say const message is equal to the same thing, document dot query selector, and in brackets instead of starting with hash, I'm gonna start with dot msg. Okay, so that is how you get that out. Then lastly, I want to be able to use the user list. You can see the user list here when you get back on the users here. Okay, so these are the list of users. We're going to be having them in item 1, 2, and 3. So ID of users, we're going to use it to pick out the user list. So to do that, you can also say const user list. So how do I get them? The same thing, you can use document dot query selector, and in bracket is an ID. So for every ID, you just simply use the hash. This is called hash. Yeah, I think that's the hash users. Okay. So with this now, I've been able to get everything, all the handles in this HTML that I want to use to manipulate, to do what we call document manipulation of this HTML site. Okay. And that is the essence of giving these various sections and div their classes and IDs, so that whenever you want to work on them, you can simply use those classes and IDs. Instead of using the element tags themselves, you can use the classes and IDs to bring them in. So something to take note here is that document.querySelector is the method that you always use for this. Okay. So now, in order to make this work, I want to be able to, when I get to this, once you click on this submit button, this very submit button that is here, once you click on it, I want it to fire off an event that will make something happen. So for that to happen, we need to add what we call event handler to the submit button, or to the form itself. Very, very important. So the submit button is inside my form. So I need to add an event listener to it. So, and this event listener is going to listen for submit or form submit. So it has to listen for submit. So how do I go about that? I can simply say my form, which is the name, and you know that we've already gotten my form. So how did we get my form from here? We said that my form is simply equal to document.querySelector my form. So we're getting this and we're assigning these values to this variable. So that's why we can simply say my form now, and we'll now add the event listener. So we simply say add event listener. Okay, so that's how you do that. So once you add the event listener, it's going to take an argument of the type of event listener that the type of event that it's going to be listening to, and the type of event is the submit event. And once it click this submit event, what function is it going to fire off? It's going to fire off the on submit. Okay, so once that happens, then this function on submit is fired. So what is on submit going to be doing? So you're going to write a function that on submit is going to be doing. So you simply say function on submit. That is how you do that. And it always takes the event as a parameter. And now inside the normal double bracket, you're going to write what is going to happen whenever you click the submit. Okay, so we want to be able to check whether there's a value in the input and the email. If not, it should ask you to read an error message for you and put it in this very MSG. So that's what we're going to do now. So we simply say if So if the name inputs dot value, that means you're going to check the name input and see whether there's something there. If it is equal to, triple equal to is whenever you want to check whether something is the same in magnitude and both in data type. So if it is equal to an empty space, that means nothing is there. Or if the email, want to check both the email and the other one, if the email input dot value is also triple equal to empty, so what is going to happen in this case? Okay, so if both of them are empty, what is going to happen is that you're simply going to alert something. So I want something to be alerted. So I simply want the message now, which you know we've already gotten from up. I want to add an error class to it, so I can simply use a class list dot add. Okay, so that I can now indicate error. Okay, so once we're able to add that, then we can simply now say that message dot inner HTML. This is one way of adding a string through the JavaScript. So you can use inner HTML for that. So it's going to say, please enter all fields. It's enter name and email. Okay, so that's the error message that is going to be read. Okay, now when this message comes in, I want it to go out after some time. I want it to be able to go out after some time. So if you want something to go out after some time or move at interval, you're going to use what we call set timeout. So let's say set time out, and we're going to use a callback function to put the very time that we want it out. So we're going to simply say this message want it to be removed. So message.remove, and we actually want this to be done in 3 seconds. So to represent 3 seconds, you can use 3000 milliseconds. That's the same thing as 3 seconds. Okay, so that is what I want to be done. So the if statement contains these two. So what it simply means that if that is not the case, what else should happen? So if that's not the case, I can say else else what do I want to happen? Else I want to just create a new list item with the username. That means if it is not empty, what's going to happen? So let me create a new list item with the users. So I can simply say const li to represent the list item, and I can simply say document dot create element. Okay, then in brackets I can now assign that li. Okay. So that is that. Now, having created this element, I need to add text node with the input values. So that's the next thing to do once you finish creating an element, because we want to create a list element. So I can say li dot, I can use the append child function. So that you can see it as you're writing it, you see a solution that can help you complete that. So I want to append child. But what do I want to get appended? Okay. What do I want to get appended? So I want to append document dot create. I want to create a text node. Okay. And what value do I want to give the text node? In template restricts and interest and $sign, I want to simply give it the value of any value that you put as the name input. Okay, so name input the value that becomes the value. So after that, for that, I'm gonna have for the email, I'm gonna have email input dot value. Okay, so that captures the two of them. Then I'm gonna make sure that all the quotes are closed well. Okay, so now I'm gonna now append the user list. So by simply saying user list, which we know we've already gotten in from the variable that we declared, you can see where we brought in user list. Okay, so we'll now say user list dot, we'll now finally append it, append child. Okay, and what are we appending? The list that we just created. And with that, I think we are good to go. Okay, but it's always good after appending that you clear out the field, so that once you add, you clear out the field. And to clear out, we simply say name input dot value is equal to an empty string. So do same for email. Simply say email input dot value is equal to empty string. Okay, so I think that does it now. We save this, and I'm gonna take out every other thing that we've done before. If I now comment this out here, and take out one of them, and take out this one. Okay, so I have everything commented out apart from today's class. Okay, I'm having errors somewhere. Where could it be from? There's an extra. Take this out. Okay, if I save now, I'll try to go and run this code again and see what's gonna happen. Okay. So if I do right click and say open with live server. Okay, open with live server. So I'm gonna stop this sharing so that I can share the new screen. Okay, if I try to submit, say please enter our name. Okay, so it's working now. Then if I put my name here, say Augustine Emeka, and I put my email, C3 on 32, and I submit. Okay, you can see Augustine is now showing down here. Okay, okay. Let me share these. Oh, let me share my screen again. Okay, let me share my entire screen. Vicky, can you see it now? Okay. So now the essence of adding up the adding these up is to make sure that we can manipulate this. So this is the HTML and this is the output of the HTML. This is what we did the last time. So, but once as we are clicking anything here, we want something to be happening. So this first code that we wrote here in the main.js. So first of all, what we did was to bring in the element, the selectors that we want to work with using this. So we brought all of them in. Then we now added event listener to the form. So what this first one is saying that if the name input, you did not put anything and you did not put anything in the email input, it should simply tell you, please enter all name and email. So you come here now, this is empty, this is empty. If you go here and click on submit, you will see this one that says enter all. You see, it's going out very fast because I said 3 seconds. So let me go back and put, let me say 30 seconds, that 3 minutes it will be, so that it will remain there for a very long time. So if I go back now and I click on submit, see, I think I did not set this, Control S, okay. So if I now get back here and I click on submit without putting anything in this to say please put something, okay, let me rerun this, Control S, and I get back to my index and I right click and say open with live server. Okay, so now if I come here and I just click on submit without putting anything, say it's telling me, you can see it is just blinks, enter all names and emails. But if I put something, say Augustine and C3 or no, then I come down and I say submit. So you will now see Augustine and C3 or no come out, but it's still coming and going. So I think there's some errors in here. I think, okay. If this, then this set timeout. Okay, I'm setting timeout. Okay, let me take out this timeout and see what happens. So let me persist it. So if you click on if I save this back and get back here and submit, see, I think I need to take this. Okay, let me see. If the name is this, do this, let's do this. Okay. $3,000 milliseconds. Okay. Set timeout at this. Am I opening more? Okay, first of all, let me save this. Close all these things out. Okay. So I get back to index.html. Make sure I save this. Okay. In my main.js, make sure I save this. Get back here and open this with Live Server. Okay. Close up the first one and try to submit. Comes and goes. Okay. Then I put my name and my email. It still comes and goes at the same